Here at the Hockenheimring, 7 times winner Nigel Mansell's next target is Ayrton Senna's record of 8 wins in one season. And for round 10 of the World Championship, 2 things are of supreme importance: engine power and chassis balance. Engine power for the over 200 miles an hour long straights, and chassis balance for the chicanes and the twisty stadium. With his superb Williams Renault, Nigel Mansell has both these things. Ally them to his talent, his experience and his dominant form, and he has to be the favourite to win today's German Grand Prix, as he won last year's.
The only pressure I feel is when I'm at the British Grand Prix. If you can get through the British Grand Prix weekend with sort of over the 3 days upwards of 300,000 people coming, getting pole position and winning the race and pulling it off and savouring that day like we did, anything to follow that is easy. So, of course there's pressure there, but we're comfortable with it, and with the people we got behind us and being with the great team I have, no, I'm happy.
But if Mansell and Williams are happy and confident, McLaren certainly aren't. They've improved their car since Silverstone, but are still well off the Williams-Renault pace, with the result that 3 times world champion Ayrton Senna has no chance of retaining his title. Consistently losing is a new experience for Ayrton, and understandably he doesn't like it. Team boss Ron Dennis looks up for inspiration, but with rumours that McLaren are to lose their enormously successful Honda engines next season, it's hard to find. Germany's new hero, Michael Schumacher, is under pressure too. This is his first German Grand Prix, but he knows all too well that the fatherland expects him to win. He's certainly fit enough to do so, as he showed after spinning his Benetton yesterday. Michael's teammate Martin Brundle doesn't have that pressure though. He had a depressing start with Benetton, but his morale is high after 2 successive 3rd places in France and Britain.
We've got a lot of power. Don't underestimate the amount of power that we've got with the Ford V8. And the packaging, of course, it's not all about sheer grunt. It's also how it goes down on the road and how much fuel you have to carry, how big your radiators need to be to cope with it. So don't write us off at the power circuits. Ironically, I think it's the very Mickey Mouse circuits where we don't get the power down very well, where we hurt. So we'll be there somewhere. We'll be in with a shout.
At Hockenheim, you have to get the balance between aerodynamic downforce and straight line speed absolutely right. Martin didn't at the revised top chicane, but he was only one of many who spun off. Johnny Herbert was another, and he did it in style. A mechanical problem with his Lotus taking him off not once, but 3 times. But as ever, Johnny came back smiling. Nigel Mansell won't even discuss the World Championship, but with a 36-point lead after 7 wins, it has to be looking good for him. And here today, Michael Schumacher hopes to close the gap between himself and second-place Riccardo Patrese, Mansell's teammates. But the talk at Hockenheim is based on rumours. Rumours that Nigel Mansell will have a new teammate next year in place of the much-liked Riccardo Patrese. But who? Ayrton Senna would love to drive a Williams Renault, but there's talk that he'll go to Ferrari and that Nigel's partner will be his ex-Ferrari chum, Alain Prost.
I would like to take a decision. I would like to listen what they offer me very soon. And
team personnel around Gabriele Tarquini's front metal, and in a moment we will have the green flag. There it is, green flag.
Die Einführungsrunde läuft. dass der Mann, der sich anschickt, Weltmeister zu eben angeflogen kommt.
Nigel Mansell taking up his pole position on the left side of the grid, as it always is here. There we are, the first 2 rows are now stationary. Giles Lacey just has to come up to complete row 3. Ligier is on row 4. There it is. And row 5, Brundle and Wendlinger already stationary. Herbert and Capelli as well. Just waiting for Hakkinen and Guia, they're stationary. Generally speaking, it looks as though just about everyone is. There's a green flag at the back.
Grüne Flagge geschwenkt.
5-second board shown.
Mansell on the right. And it's go. Good start by Mansell. Patrese done it again. Riccardo Patrese has got another flyer and leads into the first corner. Berger goes ahead of Senna, and so did Michael Schumacher. At least he drew right up alongside the Brazilian. And coming down towards us now, it's Mansell attacking. Riccardo Patrese, he's going to take the lead on the first lap, or try to. And Senna comes up alongside Berger, followed by the 2 Benettons. Now this is the first chicane, and Berger and Senna are fighting for that corner as they go through. Now they are approaching the Os curve, and it's here that there is the biggest danger of somebody going off on the first lap, with 26 cars all attacking, and it's Mansell leading, Patrese second, Berger third, Senna is in 4th place, followed by the 2 Benettons. Schumacher is 5th, Brundle is 6th, Mansell is through the Os curve safely. So are the first 6, but Lacey is in 7th place, followed by Comas and Capelli, Boutsen, and thankfully it looks to me as though everybody clears this Ost curve on the first lap safely. So that's one of the danger points avoided.
Field now into line astern, and Senna, tremendous stuff, and there's a shower of gravel, but just a bit wide there. And at the first chicane, tremendous stuff by Ayrton Senna, had to barge his way past his teammate Gerhard Berger. A very finely judged manoeuvre, it was right on the limit, but he made it through. So we look at the 2 Benettons going through into the stadium. So it's fairly symmetrical at the moment. A pair of Williamses, a pair of McLarens, a pair of Benettons leading the field, and already 2 Williamses stretching the lead. Mansell going away from Riccardo Patrese. Now Patrese, maybe a chance here for him to fight a bit, although he is shackled in that he's not meant to pass Mansell or interfere with his progress. He'll want to show what he can do. Yesterday in the same car, he was only 3 or 4 tenths slower than Mansell in qualifying, and that was his best qualifying result this year.
And this is the new camera angle we're seeing of Riccardo Patrese in the Williams Renault, second only to his teammate Riccardo Patrese. He's doing 200 miles an hour here. It's terribly difficult to appreciate on television just how quickly they're going. And he's coming now into the stadium section, the right-hander, which they go through at 5th gear. Now this is the Sachs curve, a 2nd gear corner, up into 3rd and 4th, swing right a bit. Now he's coming up to the corner where Senna went off this morning, chasing Nigel Mansell. Both Schumacher and Brundle may well have the harder compound of tyre on. The Benettons often go conservative on tyre choice, in which case they might be able to avoid a tyre stop, whereas the others will have to come in. But Jonathan Palmer's got news of that in the pit lane.
Right, the story I've got, Murray, is that, as you say, both Williams cars are on the softer C compound, but both are the 2 McLarens as well. Now, Martin Brundle's Benetton is also on the C compound, but Schumacher has the harder compound, as the harder B compound, as do both Ferraris.
There's Michael Schumacher. He is providing the only real interest in the race at the moment, because he is tracking Gerhard Berger very closely. That's Martin Brundle. But Schumacher, as I say, he's tracking Berger, but he can't quite get into a position to make a real attack. And if Schumacher does get past Gerhard Berger, then we will have something to savour, because the feud that we have seen develop on BBC television this year between Schumacher and Ayrton Senna, which you haven't seen developed further last week when the teams were all here testing at Hockenheim. Schumacher delayed Senna when they were testing out on the circuit, and Senna took exception to it and felt that that was out of order, and actually started to get physical and grabbed Schumacher by his lapels and picked him up a bit. So it is really quite strong feeling there, and if he gets past Berger, he will be setting about an attack on Ayrton Senna.
And that is Okio Katayama, the Japanese driver, walking in, having obviously gone off in his Venturi LaRousse. And it was at the Ost curve, so both the Japanese drivers are out now, because Aguri Suzuki retired on the second lap. Now Katayama is out. Hopefully he stopped far short enough of the tarmac not to have covered it with stones. On lap 13 now, and if there are going to be tyre changes, well, we've got the first one already, because Johnny Herbert has just drawn into the pit lane in his Lotus, and he was, when he drew in 12th position, so he will have lost that already to Gabriele Tarquini. That is the Lotus accelerating away now. So Herbert, I'm watching now, and I see Andrea De Cesaris go through, and he was in 16th place. So Johnny Herbert, who was in 12th position, rejoins in 16th place, the first man to make a tyre stop, and that was on lap 13, with Nigel Mansell leading Patrese by 7.5 seconds now. He's again made a fastest lap, 1:43.455, and that is a new lap record. So on lap 12, Nigel Mansell breaks the lap record. He's left it rather late for him, because he broke the lap record at Silverstone on lap 4. And into the pit lane comes Nigel Mansell. He's going to change tyres very early indeed. Patrese is leading the German Grand Prix, and Senna is second. Senna passes Mansell in the pit lane as the Williams Renault accelerates out, and Michael Schumacher is going to come up with Mansell as he leaves the pit lane. And Gerhard Berger is into the pits. Now, the German Grand Prix has come alight, because Riccardo Patrese leads. Ayrton Senna up into second place. You're watching the tyre change on the McLaren now. That's an overly long one, 14.6 seconds.
Yes, the McLaren team seemed to lose that left rear wheel. It managed to go walkabout, and that was a serious delay on Berger's car. There is Riccardo Patrese, the new leader, and this is a surprise that these teams are making their tyre stops this early in the race. Now, it may well mean that they're going to have to do some very fast arithmetic. They will to work out whether they need to stop a second time, or whether they're going to try and go the distance on the new set of tyres. Now Mansell behind Senna, no rush for him to pass Senna. He's going to have to go for tyres. Mansell knows this. He's got a big effective lead over Patrese as well, and the interest in the race really is a situation between Senna and Schumacher. Senna currently is some 10 or 12 seconds ahead of Schumacher on the road, and Schumacher maybe not stopping. Senna is going to have to stop, and that will be interesting to see if Senna can get enough of a lead to get out and be on terms with Schumacher.
Well, I was half expecting Ayrton Senna to go into the pits there as he went through to complete his 18th lap. Followed, and of course he can see that it's Nigel Mansell behind him in the mirrors that are on either side of his vestigial windscreen. They're coming up to take Andrea De Cesaris, the very experienced Italian, and Mansell attacks, and we're with him, going past Ayrton Senna up into second place behind his teammate Riccardo Patrese. No, he's not. Senna's not having anything of that, And I remember that last year, this was the situation with Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost in the Ferrari, and he's here, by the way, for lap after lap after lap, with Prost agitatedly and frustratedly attacking Senna, who refused obdurately to give way. Why should he? He was on the racing line, and Mansell goes over the corner there. Now, I remember that Ayrton Senna had a problem in Japan when he was excluded from the race, and Mansell goes again now. Is he going to get through this time? Indeed he is. Now, James, is there any possibility of Mansell being excluded for going off the course?
No, I don't think so. I think, as far as I know, Murray, that was all right. But what wasn't all right, I've just praised Mansell for being so circumspect when passing the back marker, and he got sucked into that by Ayrton Senna, who knows he's vulnerable, and that was very stupid indeed by Nigel Mansell, because that could have put him out of this race, that could have set back his World Championship situation for no good reason. He's miles ahead of him effectively on the road. Senna has to make a pit stop. There is Riccardo Patrese coming in for tyres, making his tyre stop, and the Williams team, I should think, will be furious with Mansell. And what's more, Mansell meets the Williams team tomorrow to discuss his future. Good stop by the Williams team. Away goes Riccardo Patrese. He meets Frank Williams tomorrow, as I understand it, to discuss his future, and that will not help the discussions from his point of view, because that was stupid driving by Mansell. By making Patrese go the long way round, he was off the racing line and therefore had less grip. The track is dusty and slippery there. The cars aren't normally running that much down the inside. Here we see it again from another angle, from ahead, and you'll see puff of smoke as Michael Schumacher locks his brake here. Brakes lock, going wobble, 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 and Patrese on the grippy line is able to go through.
5 laps to go, including the one that they're on. Nigel Mansell leading by 18 seconds now, and this is the battle that he's leading. Senna's McLaren Honda, and Senna has held on magnificently. A man who is in 5th position in the World Championship, having dropped down to that place. And oops, Patrese locks everything up there, loses a little bit of time. He'll get it back, of course, no doubt about that, because he's in clear air at the moment. He's got the power, he's got the performance, but as Ron Dennis and everybody in the McLaren, here it is again, watch Patrese lock up his tyres as they go into the S-curve. First the left front, then the right front. Maybe the brake balance is slightly off, because it looked to me as though the 2 rear tyres were not locking at all. And we're in the closing stages now, very much so, because Nigel Mansell is not far off starting his 44th and last lap but one, as through to complete lap 43 come Ayrton Senna and Riccardo Patrese. As I said, Riccardo Patrese would have 2 laps by the time he caught Senna to try to get past the Brazilian for that 7th second place, and it looks as though he's going to go for it now.
Patrese has not given up, and this is a tremendous battle to the end. Now we got the low down camera in the curb, and a quick flash of the cars coming past. Patrese getting the toe now. He can have a look down the inside, but he'll be a brave man if he has a go, but he's trying it, and he's got inside Ayrton Senna. Senna chops. Tremendous stuff. And Patrese giving it everything he could. There is Nigel Mansell just going through the shot in the lead. Mansell has slowed up because of fuel, but still with plenty in hand. Mansell, one hopes, is still controlling the race. Ayrton Senna going through, and Mansell's lead very substantially reduced. Certainly. Mansell, there is Mansell, starting his last lap. In the background we see Ayrton Senna appearing onto the straight, and I'm sure Mansell still has it under control. He got the fuel warning. That's Ayrton Senna has just done his fastest lap of the race. Senna still holding it off. Riccardo Patrese can't get near, and this, whatever happens between now and the end of the race, has been an absolutely brilliant drive, tactically as well as physically, by Ayrton Senna. And Patrese close. Patrese's done that Ostcurve chicane very well indeed, and he will be putting Ayrton Senna under attack into the chicane. He'll be out of and Senna this time going for the inside, and Senna, oh, and a little bit naughty. Senna using a bit more than etiquette dictates there, but he wasn't that quick out. Mansell is in view, and what a tremendous finish.
Indeed it is. It's going to be the closest Grand Prix finish we've had for a long, long time. Patrese spins and loses that third position. He's going to keep it going. Well, he hasn't lost the third position as he lost his engine. But meantime, Nigel Mansell is coming into the last corner of the last lap, and it's going to be a very close run thing between himself and Ayrton Senna. But Nigel Mansell wins in Germany, and he equals Ayrton Senna's record. Senna is second. Michael Schumacher finishes a superb third in the Benetton, and Martin Brundle is fourth. Alesi will be fifth.
Now, Mansell controlled that race well. Amidst all the excitement, it was yet again an easy win for Nigel Mansell, apart from his concerns over fuel. And Patrese must be very disappointed. He got onto the slippery stuff going in. Senna now, with his experience, and he races so hard, he really is the master. He stalled the engine then, he had it running, he got overexcited, he spun it round, and an ignominious end to really a tremendous race.
Nigel Mansell wins his 8th Grand Prix of the year to repeat his 1991 hat-trick and equal Ayrton Senna's record, with Senna a superb non-stop second. Michael Schumacher third, and the first German on the podium since 1977. Martin Brundle fourth in his 5th points finish of the season. Jean Alesi fifth for Ferrari, and Eric Comas in the points at 6th again for Ligier. Nigel Mansell another 10 points closer to his first World Championship. Now 46 ahead of Riccardo Patrese, with Michael Schumacher consolidating his third place. Senna up to fourth, Berger down to fifth, with Martin Brundle sixth. And in the Constructors' Championship, Williams are so far ahead that it's surely now a battle for second place between Benetton and McLaren.
With 30.
So, die Fahrer sind da und damit wird gleich das Podium freigemacht für die Siegerehrung. Nigel Mansell, Ayrton Senna und Michael Schumacher.
"29 victories then for Nigel Mansell, 8 in one season. Congratulations to him. And he will be presented with his cup by Fürst zu Isenburg und Buddingen, the president of the Automobile Clubs of Deutschland, of the AVD. And then the Constructors' Cup being presented by Herr Gänger, the Geschäftsführer of Mobil Oil AG. And then the second place cup to Ayrton Senna from Herr Diplom-Ingenieur Rolf Moll of the AVD, Sport President. And then third place to Michael Schumacher from Herr Schrank, the Bürgermeister of Hockenheim.
Also das ist natürlich der Pokal für Michael Schumacher, der jetzt von unserem Bürgermeister in Hockenheim, Gustav Schrank, überreicht wird. Gratulation an Michael Schumacher. Seine Gratulation von Nigel Mansell hat er ja bereits erfahren. Ayrton Senna applaudiert ebenfalls und die Constructors-Trophäe geht wieder einmal an das Williams-Renault-Team.
A lot of champagne being sprayed around there. A lot of it over Ayrton Senna as well. Patrick Head was the representative of the winning constructor. Congratulations to Nigel Mansell, to Ayrton Senna in second place, of course to Michael Schumacher in third. There they are.
Wunderschöne Geste jetzt von Nigel Mansell, der den Arm von Michael Schumacher hochreißt, um seine Ehrfurcht von dieser Leistung von Michael Schumacher zu dokumentieren. Jetzt ein schönes Bild dort oben auf dem Siegerpodest.
Nigel Mansell, many congratulations winning the German Grand Prix for the second consecutive time, but what a dramatic race it was, and what drama for you. Why did you slow down in the closing laps?
Well, it's not just the closing laps, the opening laps. We got a warning device on the car that tells me when I got a puncture, and I had to stop for tyres real early because I think I got conned. The car went off in front of me and I picked up a lot of dirt on my tyres, I think, and the car handling went terrible and almost had two big spins. And I was convinced, because the warning light came on at the same time, that I had a puncture, so I pitted to tyres literally because of that reason. And then at the end, if you look at my tyres now, I've got big holes in them and I got blisters all the way around, and the vibration was so much at the end that I had to even slow down the straight because I couldn't see where I was going for the next corner. I just got blurred vision. You know, we're very fortunate today, I think.
Well, forgive the pun, Nigel, but you did set a blistering pace out at the front. Did the heat affect you at all?
Well, I think it affected everybody, but I'm just amazed that Ayrton was able to go through on one set of tyres. he obviously perhaps was running a little bit more wing, but I mean, all compliments to him. He drove a fantastic race, and I mean, we were struggling at the end.
What actually happened at the chicane then?
Well, I mean, we were both side by side and slipstreaming well over 200 miles an hour, and Ayrton left his braking real late. I left mine quite late, and we almost both didn't make the corner. And I thought at one time, because his back end really stepped out, I thought maybe he's going to go real sideways, so I gave a bit more room and then slid wide myself. It was interesting, but I mean, Ayrton's a great racing driver, and you know, he doesn't let anybody pass easy.
Ayrton Senna, a sense of relief back in the points for the first time since Monte Carlo?
Well, I had almost forgot about it. I think that's only a minor detail, really. It's a good result. We managed to make the best of what we had throughout the weekend, and second place is much better than we anticipate.
Well, as Nigel says, you drove beautifully during that race, but how did you contain that pressure from Patrese in the closing laps?
It was fun, very exciting. He of course had a better package in his hand. He had better tires than I, and I knew they had the advantage as well on the top speed, because they run, I think, a little bit less wing than we do. And I wasn't sure whether I would be able to cope with him, but I just tried to maintain my pace, position my car at the right place, you know, come through some back markers at the right place as well. And it was difficult because I had a lot of vibration from the tires the last 10 laps, simply because they were well worn down. I was a little bit worried with this because I have had already in the past twice here a blow up in a rear tire, and I had 2 major accidents for that reason. And when I start to have that vibration, it was really worry for me, because I know what it's like when you have a tire going on the straight here, and I wasn't so sure if I should keep going or stop for tires for safety. But of course, the motivation to try to make the second place kept me going, and I took a little bit of a gamble there, and it paid off. It was a great fight with Ricciardo. I feel sorry for him that right in the last lap into the stadium he spun off, but sometimes it goes wrong to all of us. So I think it was a great race, for me at least, and I'm very happy with the second place.
And finally, for next year, when can we expect some news?
At the right time.
Thank you, Ayrton. Michael Schumacher, the first German back on the rostrum at his home Grand Prix since 1977, and Hans Stuck, you must be absolutely delighted.
Yeah, as you say, I am. I didn't really expect the third place. Didn't look at all that we could finish at third. I mean, the history was that somebody need to went off that I be able to go in the podium, but actually I'm really happy. And I had the same problem like Ayrton. I had a lot of vibration in my tires, but not of going off the tires because of I locked the wheel, I think 3 or 4 times quite badly when I was fighting with Ricciardo. And the lap when Ricciardo was passing me, I went at the exit of the start and finish line. I went over the curb and damaged me the radiator or something in the oil system, and I got a lot of oil on the rear left tire, and I was just struggling around the circuit, and therefore I was really happy to finish the race as well, because of our high temperature. I had oil temperature far away from our limit, and I really was happy to finish the race.
Quick question as well, in the early laps you seem to be wiping your helmet a lot. Was there oil on it from Berger's McLaren?
Yeah, a bit. I think they put maybe a bit too much oil in or whatever. I got a lot of oil on my helmet, and need every lap to clean my helmet. Even the mirrors, they were so dirty I couldn't see anything, and it was a bit difficult in the beginning.
Were you using the Series 7 Ford engine? Because if so, that's its first victory.
Yeah, that's right. We used the Series 7, especially on this circuit. This engine seemed to be really fantastic. We was quicker than the Series 6 engine. And I'm as well quite happy about the Series 7, that we could have done the whole race with it, and I think it's a good show what we do.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Nigel. Congratulations on your 8th win of the year. Well done, Ayrton. Thank you, Michael.